Hello, hello, hello. My camera is not wanting to participate. Okay, thank you for joining me today. I am super excited to be here. This is day 2 of 30 days of my challenge of going live right here on YouTube. Also going live on TikTok as well. So if you are unable to join me here, join me there on TikTok at Intuitive Tammy. And my backup page is 𝐑𝐄𝐋 Journey to Wellness. So come join me over there. I'll be going live as well. Today, I wanted to talk to y'all about trusting God in the impossible. It used to be. So I was listening to this song, y'all, that just it reminds me so much of my husband, and he's at work tonight, so I'm here. So it's funny because he and I both do the same thing. We watch things and see things and listen to things. And, sometimes we go back and look at our pictures, and my husband does that, and I do as well. And this is one of the songs that I felt so close to when my husband and I met, because the name of the song is The Best of Me. And it's Olivia Newton-John and David Foster, which I love both of them. Always have loved Olivia Newton-John from Grease and beyond. But yeah, and it's amazing because the song talks about loving somebody and being with them and knowing that they brought the best of them to them. But she said, "You are my one more chance. I never thought I'd find. You were the one romance I'll always know. In my mind, no one will ever touch me more. I only hope that in return I might exchange the best of me for you." So it does something to me every time I hear this song, and I heard it around that time, and I decided that it was going to be one of those songs that reminded me of the love that my husband has for me and that I have for him. And so it always makes me tear up, y'all. But I think about that, and that just, goes into this topic that I want to talk about today, trusting God in the impossible. And so, the very word impossible means I'm possible. So really, if you think about it, you deconstruct that word and you actually bring it home, it means I'm possible. So when you begin to start to trust God in the impossible, now don't take my word for it. I'm actually going to read a scripture, and I'm reading it from the Message Bible. Actually, no, first I want to share this card that I pulled from my Isis Oracle. And so it says, stay true and be in your power. Stay true and be in your power. You are a sovereign divine being with spiritual authority and freedom within. You do not need permission from anyone to be who you are and live your life as you so choose. This is your divine birthright. Guard it as the precious treasure that it is, and remember that you are a divine being, free to be you. So I thought that was so appropriate, and it actually was the most amazing revelation that came with that. Because when you are in your space and you know who you are, and you are, you know, you are doing the things that you enjoy, doing the things that you love, becoming a better version of yourself, then you know these things. However, I don't even know how that went. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to read from Judges 13, and it's from the Message Bible, so it probably is going to sound a little different if you're not used to that particular language. And so, and then the people of Israel were back at it again, doing what was evil in God's sight. God put them under the domination of the Philistines for 40 years. At that time, there was a man named Manoah from Zorah from the tribe of Dan. Now, you know what the tribe of Dan is. Tribe of Dan is one of the 7 tribes of Israel. And so his wife was barren and childless. The angel of God appeared to her and told her, the angel of God appeared to her and told her, I know that you are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and bear a son. But take much care. Drink no wine or beer. Eat nothing ritually unclean. You are, in fact, pregnant right now, carrying a son. No razor will touch his head. The boy will be God's Nazarite from the moment of his birth. He will launch the deliverance from Philistine oppression. The woman went to her husband and said, a man of God came to me. He looked like the angels of God, terror laced with glory. I didn't ask him where he was from, and he didn't tell me his name, but he told me, you're pregnant. You're going to give birth to a son. Don't drink any wine or beer, or eat nothing ritually unclean. The boy will be God's Nazarite from the moment of birth to the day of his death. Manoah prayed to God, Master, let the man of God you sent come to us again and teach us how to raise this boy who is born. So you see, Manoah knew that this was an angel and that he was here to help them through this impossible situation, because they told him that the wife was barren. She wasn't able to bear any children. And so in those days, that's kind of how that went. You were barren if you didn't get healing from a healer or somebody. That was what it was. You weren't able to bear children. And so this woman was barren. And so that I would call an impossible situation. And so now here she is. The angel has come to her to tell her that she is pregnant. And her husband actually listened to her, which of course, is different. But he actually listened to her, and he actually went to God himself and said, send the man to come and show us how to raise this boy that you blessed us with. And so God listened to Manoah. God's angel came again to the woman. She was sitting in the field. Her husband Manoah wasn't there with her. She jumped up to her feet and ran and told her husband, he's back, the man who came to me that day. Manoah got up and following his wife came to the man. He said to them, are you the man who spoke to my wife? And he said, I am. Manoah said, so when what you say comes true, what do you have to tell us about this boy and his work? The angel of God said to Manoah, keep in mind everything I told the woman. Eat nothing that comes from the vine. Drink no wine or beer. Eat no ritually unclean foods. She's to observe everything I commanded her. Manoah said to the angel of God, please stay with us a little longer. We'll prepare a meal for you, a young goat. God's angel said to Manoah, even if I stay, I won't eat your food. But if you want to prepare a whole burnt offering for God, go ahead and offer it. Manoah had no idea that he was talking to the angel of God. Then Manoah asked the angel of God, what's your name? When your words come true, we'd like to honor you. The angel of God said, what's this? You asked for my name. You wouldn't understand. It's sheer wonder. So Manoah took the kid and the grain offering and sacrificed them on a rock altar to God who works wonders. As the flames leapt up from the altar to heaven, God's angel also ascended into the altar flames. When Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell face down to the ground. Manoah and his wife never saw the angel of God again. Only then did Manoah realize that this was God's angel. He said to his wife, we're as good as dead. We've looked on God. But his wife said, if God were planning to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our whole burnt offering and grain offering or revealed all these things to us, given us this birth announcement. So this was impossible. Okay, so the next scripture says the woman gave birth to a son. And this was Samson. So this is Samson's parents that God sent the angel to tell them how he was blessing them with fixing the impossible. And so we are at a place where it's time for us to learn how to trust, and I know that there is a great awakening that has been happening. There is a great awakening that has been happening. And it's like, I don't even know, how we have missed it all this time. There is a great awakening happening. And so we are here for it because it's time for us to learn how to trust God, trust the divine, trust the source that is within us, and know. And when we get divine interventions like that, is what I like to call it. Because there was a time for me when I was sick in the hospital. I actually had given birth, and my son was actually fine, but his mother was struggling, and that was me. And so they actually shut my lungs, shut down. My stomach had stopped, all the peristalsis and everything. They did all types of testing and whatnot, and it was just crazy. And it was a situation that, when I think about it now, I know it was just a spiritual situation, because they didn't find anything. They couldn't find anything. I couldn't eat for 2 weeks, but they couldn't find anything. Nothing was wrong. Nothing. They did all the tests. They did the blood work. They did this and that and the other. They were about to take me back to surgery and open me back up. And then I saw the angels that were in my room. And so there were 4 angels that came in my room this particular night. And the weird thing is, when I think back on it, almost every night there was somebody that stayed with me. It was one of my aunties, or, my sister, my mother, my grandmother. Somebody stayed almost every night, but this one night. It's crazy because I think about it. All the other nights, somebody came and stayed. My mom worked at the hospital, so sometimes she would just come and work, and then, bring clothes and take a shower and stay with me through the night. And so, but this one night, nobody stayed. My grandmother stayed all the rest of the nights before. And so this night I called a nurse and I said, I need to get up and go to the bathroom. And so I don't know what was the problem with them, but they were like, oh, well, she has catheter. And so I did. So nobody actually even came. So I got tired and I got up and went to the bathroom. And when I did, I got up and went to the bathroom, and I left the catheter still attached to the bed. So anyhow, yeah, it was that part. And so I went and got back in the bed. And when I got back in the bed, I looked up, and there were 4 men sitting around my bed, like the posters. So 2 in the front, 2 in the back. It was 4 men sitting around my bed. They had white suits on. There was no wings, no halos, or nothing like that. They had white suits on. They looked different. Like there was one guy, he had dreads. I remember that. And then there was another guy. He might have been maybe a Caucasian dude, but they were different, and I didn't really honestly focus on how they looked. I just focused on the energy of them. When I think about it now, I know that I just focused on the energy of them, and knowing, that they were there to help me and to protect me. And so these 4 angels were around my bed, and nobody came. Nobody actually came in the room while they were there with me. And for me, it seemed like a long time, but I don't really think it was that long. I really don't think it was that long, but it seemed like to me it was a long time, but they were there, and I was so grateful and just so excited, that God, favored me to send his representatives, over to help me and to, move the needle. And after that, everything started moving. It was like the craziest thing. And when I think about it, and I'm like, that was definitely an impossible situation, because my doctor had actually called my now ex-husband to come, because he wasn't there. He was in the military, and He actually called the Red Cross and told them that they needed to send him home because he was going to have to get his baby because his wife was dying. And so I remember that thing so clearly, so, and then I laughed. I'm like, that's me. I'm his wife. I'm his wife. So I was like, okay. And that, I don't honestly think I even thought about it. I really honestly didn't think about it. And I have actually done that most of my life. Just not, just not even considered or thought about it. You know what I mean? I mean, I wasn't afraid, I remember that part. But y'all, I was 22 years old and I am now 55. So that's 33 years ago, and so I remember that, but I remember that part, because it was like, yeah, I never even thought about it. I never considered myself. I honestly thought about my babies, because at that time, by this time, I had two. That one, and I had another one that was 19 months older than that one. And so that honestly was what I thought about, was my babies. I was like, who is going to get my babies? Because I knew that their daddy wasn't equipped to do that, and my mom still was raising her own babies. So I was like, I don't know who can get my babies. My mother-in-law, I loved her dearly, but she smoked like a chimney, and I just didn't want my kids to be around that. To be perfectly honest, I wanted them not to have to do secondhand smoke, and she smoked like in the house, and no. So I knew that was not an option. It's not acceptable. And so when I think about it now, even though I didn't realize then, I set the intention, to begin to trust the impossible and trust the things that God, you know, says he's going to do for you, and a part of that is trusting in yourself and knowing who you are. And so, this is a journey that to me it's a lifelong journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's something that I believe that we will be continuing to embody probably for our whole lives, and I know it's not like a quick fix, and it's not something that, people honestly want to hear all the time is, trust God, trust God, trust God, because you go to church and you hear that, trust God, but then you see people's lives falling apart and all kinds of stuff. So, it's more than just trust God, but that is a part of it. And so I wanted to share that scripture from Judges 13 from the Message Bible, just to kind of seal this in, that, God is the God of impossibilities. He is the God of the impossible. And if you are a person that, this is who you serve, is God, universe, source, whatever you want to call him, her, or them, your collective, your deities, whatever. And so when you start to do that and you stay and you start really, drawing a line in the sand, and that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to come on here today and talk about this, because I feel like it's drawing a line in the sand. Drawing a line in the sand. That's what I feel like. It's like, I feel like, okay, it gets to the point in time where it's time for you to let's see where the rubber meets the road. And I know I know some of these sayings are like old school, but I was raised by old people, so I know a lot of the old school stuff. Not everything though, but definitely, this is where, um, they used to say, this is where you put your money where your mouth is. So meaning that, now it's time to actually do the thing. Now we've been learning, and I actually did a show on Wednesday with some beautiful young ladies, and it was amazing. We had such a good time. But it was just so awesome how, we came together to talk about how spirituality, is such a game changer. And we talked about, where we came from in on that spectrum, because, Two of the young ladies, one of the young ladies actually came out of the same type of religious background that I did. And so we were able to share about a lot of that because, my thing is I don't believe in throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So a lot of people have come on my channel just because I'm law of attraction and consciousness arena, have come, in the past and said ugly things like, I need Jesus and, I'm going to hell and all these things. And that is not even the case. That's not even the case. So my thing is, I love God. Now, I'm not too keen on religion, not interested in it at all, but I love God. And I believe, that God is a sovereign being. But however, I also believe that I am a sovereign being, that I was created in that way, in his image, in their likeness. So anyway, you want to definitely look at trusting God for the impossible or in the impossible. Because the thing is, and I've seen it time and time again in my life, and I always share this testimony about how I trusted God with my car, and I love to share about that because I know that people need to hear it, and I share about that, and I share about how, I heard the voice of God tell me it was time for me to leave the place that I was living. And I trusted God in that. And I just started opening up to receive. I started opening up to receive so that I could understand, what I needed to do and where I needed to go. And, so that things started flowing into my life like they needed to. Like I spoke to one of my cousins. I hadn't spoken to her in probably 20 years. And we connected and she said, I live, in this place and you could come and stay with me. And so I did. Pack my stuff. I stored stuff I should have just got rid of and sold it, gave away, whatever. But I packed my stuff and I packed my car down and I got up out of there. And I came west. I left the East Coast and I came west. Why? Because God said it was time for me to go. It's time for me to leave that place. It was time for me to leave that place physically. It was time for me to leave that place emotionally. It was time for me to leave that place spiritually. There was so many reasons why it was time for me to leave. And then I got a lot of different blowback from different people. I had a friend tell me that God wouldn't tell me to go somewhere without a job and without a house and, all this stuff. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't know what God you worship, because the one that I read about in all those books told people to just leave many times. The one I read about told people when you get ready to destroy someone or something, you destroy everything about it. You don't allow anything to live. That God. So I said, nah, definitely it's time for me to go. And I probably lost some friends really behind that, but you know what? It wasn't important enough. I didn't care. I was at this place where I was trusting God because I didn't have anything else. I was at a space where I really I needed something and I didn't know what I needed, but I know that God was always there for me. And I know that regardless of if I ever stepped foot in a church, I knew that God was always there for me. I know that, you know, I know who I am. I know that I was put here to be a dominator, that I'm supposed to dominate my environment, but it took a long time for me to get to that space. It took a long time for me to get here where I understood and knew, who I was. And, and I'm still discovering what I've been put here to do, because it seems to change and it seems to shift and it seems to mold. However, the main thing always is the same. Like, I know I'm here to bring peace to this planet. And I know that whoever I'm supposed to impact will show up. And that I know. You know, it's like this I know for sure. Oprah, this I know for sure. That I know for sure. You know, but it took me a long time to get to this space where I know it for sure. It took me a long time, you know. So if you're watching and you are thinking about, you know, all of these things, you want to reach out and touch me and talk to me and have some conversations, then I would love it if you would join me. Make sure that you subscribe, hit that bell so that it'll notify you when I go live or when I post new videos and share new content. And I would love it if you would also follow me on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok at Intuitive Tammy. I have subscriptions over there for $2.99 a month. And I am so hoping to have at least 50 subscribers, 50 to 100 subscribers by next month, because I really want to do some subscriber only lives where, you know, I do some guided meditations and we do some healings and things like that. And so this is really something that I wanted to do. But I also have a conscious healing hub, which is another membership opportunity where you can come in and get to be in my presence. We do monthly calls on Zoom, and then you have access. There's a private Facebook group, and I'm also building a private area for that as well. So I'm hoping to have that done and ready by the end of the month, because that's something I've been working on, and I wanted to get that out there so that we can be in community. So those are a couple of different spots that you can come and join me in community. I also have a Facebook group, regular one on Facebook, Awakening Your Intuition, because what I do is typically help people with their spiritual gifts to open them up, you know, help you to be able to connect to God, to your higher self. Um, because that is usually where people are lacking, usually where there's a disconnect. So, again, thank you for hanging out with me. I would love it if you would join me again, like I said, on TikTok at Intuitive Tammy, where I'm doing lives actually every day too, because Spirit is on me to get this stuff out there and to really help people to get to this place where they can trust God. You know, get to this space where they can trust, you know, the messages that they receive through their senses that God has given them. You know, many times, you know, you receive messages and you don't even realize. You don't even know that that is what you're receiving, or you don't really know that these are things that God has given you and blessing you with. You know, so you receive these messages. So what I love to do is really help people to understand that. And I also do private mentoring as well. Now that's looking a little different, because I was trying to see if I should do like 3 sessions or 6 or 12. But I think what we're going to do is just roll from there. Whatever we feel like you need after we have a consultation, then we can just go from there, and I can work with you however you need to, as far as payment plans or, you know, whatever. So again, thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you tomorrow. As I'll be back on again live tomorrow, or I'll upload a video, but more than likely it will probably be live. But again, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I absolutely love talking to y'all. And I got some other things happening too on my website, which I'm gonna drop it in the chat. I think it might be also in the description too, but I'm gonna drop it in the chat. You can go on my website, and it is just my name, tammymorrison.com. Why did I have to put Y? Because there are a couple of Tammy Morrisons, and they have some of the sites already spelled exactly as I spell it. So I had to put my middle initial, Y, for Yancey, in there, my maiden name. So again, thank y'all. But it's been a blast. And again, I'll do it again tomorrow. But make sure that you smash that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And make sure you're sharing it out to people and let them know, come on over here because we're going to be having some blasts. And I need y'all to watch some videos so that we can get them coins on this channel. So again, thank you for helping out. Love you and hope to see you on the inside. If you have any questions, either comment or you can look in my in the description or about me or whatever and find, the details of how to connect with me as well. So again, thank you. Bye.